Celtics did not miss a shot for 8 minutes. They scored 28 points without missing a shot. They hit 10 straight to start the game, and it didn't get any better after that. We'll talk about it coming up on POSTCAST. David Locke and Ron Boone, as the Utah Jazz got completely dismantled tonight by the Boston Celtics, who look to be on a tier different than just about any team we've played all year, certainly on a tier well above the Utah Jazz. Final score tonight, 125-97. And maybe the most impressive thing about this game from a Boston standpoint, Ron, is that the Celtics dominated this game in the first 8 minutes, as we talked about, and never stopped dominating it. Till like 30 seconds left of the game, Peyton Pritchard in on Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and the pressure's too much. He can't dribble, and he steals the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, they dominated for 48 entire minutes of this game, every second of it.
So as impressive as we were with that first quarter, I mean, the way the start that they got off to, the way they were making shots, knocking down threes, and then obviously it was Tatum and Brown that had things going. But throughout the basketball game, when a team gets off to a start like that, you expect one quarter at least, where there's a because of substitutions, there's a bad field goal percentage, and they don't play as well. They have to regroup. That did not happen tonight. Jazz just didn't have any answers for what they were doing out there on the floor.
Boston was the best team you've seen all year?
I think I'm saying the best performance. I'm with Lacombe there as well. I've watched them a lot on TV. They really get the job done. I think now at this point of the season, the way they're surging, they look as good or as best as any team in the Eastern Conference, that's for sure.
Their talk here is two things. The thing about Boston, and we'll get to the Jazz in a second, is they didn't used to pass the basketball.
Yeah.
They literally didn't pass last year. Like, I think they're last in the league in assists. They didn't move it. We're close to last in the league in assists this year, so that's a conversation we should be having. And they don't move the ball. And Udoka took over as head coach, said we need to move it. They didn't really move it. Marcus Smart called them out. Then Jason Tatum finally started to move the ball. They embraced it. They got rid of Dennis Schroeder. And maybe one of the most important things that is they turned it over to Marcus Smart. Many rumors that they were going to trade him. He had 13 assists tonight. What are you seeing with the tempo that he is playing with and what he's doing for Boston's offense?
What I'm seeing is, like I mentioned a little earlier, they have a secondary break pace it's not a fast break, but it's a secondary break pace that gets right into something. That's very impressive because you have guys positioned out there on the floor. You have Tatum, obviously, and Brown that probably going to take the most shots. But as you mentioned, Marcus Smart now is turning into a playmaker and a reliable shooter. When I watched him come out of college, I just thought he was going to be a good defensive player in the NBA and not be able to be a threat shooting the basketball. But he might be the reason that this team is playing so well anyway.
Playing with a real tempo. All right, we've had some comments coming in. If someone wants to share their thoughts and is still with us to join us for this, I feel like we owe them. Like, you stuck with it. So let's go to Hank. Hank says, Jazz have fully embraced Clarkson basketball, no ball movement. Why would any player want to run up and down the court if everyone knows either Mitchell or Clarkson's jacking up the shot? The blender is dead. Coach allows it, so apparently it's the offense. What's your reaction to this?
Well, your offense your defense is usually with the Jazz is what carries this basketball team. And I'm with the caller,
commenter.
The listener,
commenter.
Right there. The what?
Commenter.
Yeah, the commenter. I'm with him that there's portions of the basketball game where things has to change a little bit. And I think I mentioned during the course of the game that you get down like the Jazz are in now, that you feel like I got to bring us back. I meaning whoever's going and trying to make things happen. Could be Clarkson, could be Donovan, could be Conley or something like that. When you have an offense that's reliable and has been reliable during the course of the year, that's what you need to rely on.
The ball movement is non-existent.
It's not. How many assists tonight? 13.
13 assists all night.
All night.
The ball movement is non-existent. Partially it's because everyone's switching us all the time. Like, we get switched more than any team in the league. So how do you keep the ball moving when teams are switching you?
How would I keep the ball moving? I think the ball movement starts with cutters, and picks, cutters and picks, and I just that's the way I grew up playing, and I think that you make it work that way. And I really am a believer in cutters. I mean, you're cutting strong to the basket. You're going to take a defender with you when you do that, or you're going to have a defender on your back. I just think that's the way to start an offense.
Daniel, this was such a hard game to watch. Please help me feel better. Games like this make it so hard to feel any amount of confidence going into the playoffs.
We can't get so down right now that this is what 3 games in 4 nights. Sometimes you just don't.
We're being taunted right now by a Celtic great right now.
Yeah, right. You're tired. You play 3 games in 4 nights. Things aren't going well, and then you run into a team that's just on fire. It really makes you look a lot worse than what you really are.
Cedric Maxwell giving us a little bit of a wow, look at you. I do think there is a relevance to the 3 games in 4 nights, but I also will say to Daniel, I'll go with Daniel a little bit, Ron, in regards to the concern of, any confidence going to the playoffs. I do worry about our group. I worry about the team of whether they have confidence going to the playoffs. They have 2 bad playoff experiences. They've had a lot of heart-wrenching losses this year. This is wow, we're not close to the best team in the league performance tonight. Kevin Durant put it on him the other night in the same I'm with Daniel a little bit in that I worry about the group. I worry about where this group is and how they feel. We got 9 left. It'll be interesting to see how they come back against Charlotte.
Yeah. Finishing strong here on this road trip will really help. Charlotte is going to be a much faster team than what we saw tonight. From what I've watched, and especially what I saw the other night, they really push the ball up the floor. They'll take a lot of early threes. If the Jazz are anywhere tired, they just, they could get taken out in that first quarter just like they did tonight. But I think, I don't think there's any doubt that the Jazz are a better team than Charlotte. But we got to come out and attack them.
I think the other one, on this is there was no scenario we were really supposed to win tonight. Most of the odds, it's the way we lost, which is, you just got manhandled for 48 minutes. And there were moments where it felt like they were fooling, right? That they were, you were playing I said at one point in the broadcast, it feels like we're playing the circus clown and Cirque du Soleil right now. That's what it felt like. To someone else's show was going on, and we were the victims of it. M. Law says the loss is on Mitchell. Get your teammates involved and run the damn offense. Didn't know off the bounce threes were the number one priority. Throw the lob, learn how to Nash dribble. I got a hard time putting on Donovan when he's the only guy who could score tonight. He had 37 points. He goes 13 of 24. The rest of the team goes 22 of 60. Hey, it's Cedric Maxwell, 22 of 62 from the floor. So the rest of the team shoots 33% from the floor. I don't know. I mean, sure, I guess Donovan could have passed more, but I do think there's something to the comment about us being an off-the-bounce 3 team. We used to be a catch-and-shoot 3 team, and we are now an off-the-bounce 3 team.
Yeah, and that's changed from last year. That blender, as a caller talked about just a few minutes ago, David. But let's not let that lob to Rudy go. I mean, teams are starting to try to take that away. It's getting harder and harder to make that happen. From team to team, it does change. Some teams you just don't have that. They don't have a way of defending it. But, that's different, with this Boston Celtics team. So you can't let that kind of,
I feel like great teams have 2 primary scorers that create their own offense. Tatum, Brown, Durant, Irving, Booker, Paul. Is Bojan our secondary scorer?
Bojan is definitely our secondary scorer, yes.
Is he a secondary scorer in the caliber of that group that was mentioned there?
Probably
not.
No.
Let's be honest.
No.
So he's not Kyrie Irving. He's not Jaylen Brown.
No.
He's actually a better shooter than Jaylen Brown. But, Jaylen Brown's interesting to see in the playoffs if Jaylen Brown has enough. Is he Chris Middleton? Probably not quite to Giannis.
Yeah.
So certainly, that's hard. All right, let's see if there's anything else. Well, no Bojan, no chance in the playoffs. So I would 100% agree with you on that. I don't see much else. I only thing I would just say kind of on the comment section, like if you're going after Donovan tonight, that's a deeper issue on you personally that you don't like Donovan. Like if you're choosing tonight as the night to go after Donovan, you've got an issue with Donovan that there's no logical reason why you should be going after Donovan tonight. No. Like I don't know, like really there's no logical reason why you should be going after any individual in a 35-point loss.
Absolutely.
When you get run out of the gym. There's collective issues. Why are we not catch and shoot? Why is the blender not going? What's going on defensively? Why wasn't there more resistance defensively? They own the space for 48 minutes. What do we have to do to own the space? Those are the questions to be asked after tonight. Not going to find one guy in the process to discover and put a 30-point manhandling, dismantling blowout loss on. That's silliness on that note.